so that you guys will actually have a file to go into. So if we go through breathing exercises and stuff like that, you'll have that. If we go through punching techniques, you'll have that. We go through kicking techniques, you'll have that. So we're going to try to keep everything in order and kind of start like a whole file for people, especially for the students, but for people that are coming in off, out of the school, that they can see and have everything in order. And that way we kind of start a record of everything that we're doing. The most important thing that you guys can do as far as amalgamating all the movements that you're learning here is stay with your forms. Your forms are the most important thing that you could do ever. From all the stuff we're doing here today and the stuff that you're going to do with positioning stuff, all comes from your form work. The reason why forms are important, because as you express yourself through the forms, you're going to express yourself better in combat. So for those of you guys that are always practicing at home, I know there's a lot of material, and that's one of the reasons why we're going to categorize everything. But your forms is what's going to allow you to do that material. And forms, that's where it becomes important. So really you only need like 5 forms. If you're just practicing those 5 forms, it's going to really launch all the material that you're learning in school. And that, of course, is up to you. Your form work is a very good way, very good place to always start practicing and doing what you're doing, and it's different. And one of the things I wanted to discuss today is, and just quickly, is positioning. Your position before you fight. Now, the positions that you're going to be learning when you're moving today is how to visualize, how to look, where to see, and how to see what's actually coming at you, and how to use the person that's in front of you. One of the things is visual. You guys should always see a tree. All right? You have the stump of the tree, you have the roots of the tree, and you have the branches of the tree. Everybody takes a position. When they take that position is what you're going to work off of. So whether they're coming at you this way, whether they're coming at you this way, whether they're coming at you with a knife, they all have a position. And the better you can visualize that position and line yourself up to their movement, the better it's going to be for you to survive in combat. So for those positions, things are very wide. So if we're standing here, right, he takes a position, and I take a position. This is not how you're going to be fighting on the street. But what this is doing is allowing you to see where you're lined up. You can see that I have this leg lined up with this leg. This leg covering and this leg here. So I see them lined up here. My hand is one here. My other hand is here. And we see the range. I know when he comes in to make a move, whether he shimmies or whatever he's going to do, I'm coming across. Now that position moved from here to here. Go ahead, do what you did. From here to here, I'm blocking here. I see this coming here. I'm aware of what's coming here in case he throws a kick. Say if he goes to throw a fake, and then he throws a kick, I'm here. And then one hand replaces the other. This position training is to give your visual and to understand how you're going to actually be attacking. You're not going to be attacking if he takes a fight position. I'm not going to be going this way here. All right? This doesn't happen. Okay? If he's standing, he takes a fight position, I'm standing here. When I move, I'm moving from here. So this position develops from here, and again, I'm covering his center line. My foot's in play. I'm watching both of those legs. Both of my hands are here. My attack is going to move in from this position from here to here and move in for the kill, or whatever I'm going to do. Or also, if he springs out, to be able to move against him. Fighting on the street is quick. If he's standing there and he's got a gun at my head, I'm not going to be going this way here, right? I'm not going to say, okay, I'm going to position myself here. Your fight's going to be here. So maybe as I'm raising my hands, I make a move to come in. Or if I'm here, I'm going to move to come in. My motion at this point, I may use my legs. I may do whatever I do. Before he pulls that trigger, it's gone. So it's really simple how you line up. So what you're practicing with positions is extreme movement. The movement's extreme so that your brain can compute it. Right? You have to stay with the program, and you have to see how you're lined up. And it gets difficult. And as you get more advanced, like the stuff that we were doing, it all starts from humble beginnings. Right? You start moving differently. So you're not going to be fighting like you see in sparring. when people spar, they're doing that. That's all to teach you how to visualize and how to move better, right? And the movements are made extreme so that you can move better, so that you can see it. You're not going to be sparring on the street. Nobody spars on the street. You're not going to be wrestling on the street, you know, like professional wrestling. None of that stuff is. What you're going to be doing on the street is going to be real-life combat. And all this stuff is helping you to get there. Your form movement, you're not going to be doing this as I'm moving through my forms on the street. I'm not going to be doing that. I'm not going to be standing here as he goes to fight, and I'm not going to be going here, you know. I'm not going to be going here, right? All of these forms are to help you amalgamate your movement. Basically, you're like, you could visualize your mind like an ice cube. And what you're trying to do with your brain and your mind, which are two different things, is to get it to melt through your body and connect with all the mini brains. You're trying to get comfortable with who and what you are. So whether you're a big person, a small person, a large person, a heavy bones, whatever it may be, you need to recognize who and what you are and what element you're coming from. That's where the forms goes. Not to compare or move like somebody else, to find who you are. That's Shaolin. And right now you guys are learning Kung Fu. Kung Fu is all the tools that we're putting in the toolbox for you guys to pull out to become Shaolin. That's all your foundation. So I wanted to tell you that when you practice, your forms are important to practice. You know, you should do your forms, and then you could go home and you could practice your chops and all of that. But the better you amalgamate the movement, the better you're going to move in real life combat. And it's all visual. If he's standing here, he takes a position, and he's fighting me, then my position's from here. How I launch with this attack, how I move from here is going to come out. I'm not going to be standing. But if I'm going to be practicing, say I'm going to stand this way here, I'm seeing this hand, I'm covering this hand, I'm covering this leg. So now if he makes some kind of move, right, and just throws anything, right, I'm here, right? And now I see my opening shot. And I also understand the idea of range. So even if it comes through, it's just going to clip me because my block is there, and I'm going to bury him, right? So this is the whole idea of practicing technique and why it's so extreme, why the movements are so extreme. You don't enter Kung Fu heaven or Kung Fu Westernville, where everybody's fighting like ninjas. I've never seen ninjas fight on the street. I've seen people hit people over the head with crowbars. I've seen people get stabbed. I've seen people get cut with razor blades. I've seen people get shot. I've seen people get beaten into the ground, but I've never seen ninjas and everybody stand there and start fighting. The only fight I've ever seen with that was this guy that pulled out these nunchucks. And he's going like this here, and it was one of these fights, and he looked really cool. Then he hits the guy in the head, it hit him in the, hit the guy in the head, bounced off, and hit the guy who was doing it in the head, and they both knocked each other out. The whole fight stopped, and we just all stood there and looked at him. And then it did break the fight up, and they were just laying there knocked out. I mean, knocked out. Their heads were cut open, big bumps on their heads, and that was it. That's the only martial art I've ever seen on the street, and it didn't work very well, right? So you don't enter where everybody's fighting the same way. Everybody's coming at you differently. So the moves are extreme to help your brain record it. And then once your brain records it, then it gets more into your personality, into your expression that you find yourself. It's like Kung Fu Panda, right? You're just a big, fat panda. You can't beat me. And the panda goes, no, I'm the big, fat panda. What it means is that he discovered who he was. That's Shaolin. That's why it became dangerous. If anybody never saw Kung Fu Panda, you should watch it. It's a great show. Right? Okay?
What was in the scroll?
Himself.
Yeah, like there.
It's kind of like taken off of The Silent Flute or Circle of Iron,
Yeah.
which is probably the best martial art video ever made outside of Philosophically Wise. That's about it. Right? The acting and stuff is okay. But it's just a great movie, and it's really taken off of that. So the position training, guys, you have to stay with the program because the program is designed to help you develop. Stay with your forms. Your forms are what you should be practicing at home because that's the thing that's going to develop. I know everybody wants to kill things, but your forms are what's going to allow you to amalgamate that movement and work with it. And if all you have is 5 forms or 3 forms, you practice them. And eventually through time, you start progressing with it.